In this episode, I am hosting one of the well-known, world-renowned Turkish designer, product designer, Ayşe Birsel. I'm connecting to New York. Hello, Ayşe Hanım.
Hello, Oğuzhan Bey. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you very much to give us a nice talk in our celebration of Design Lab 10 years. So it's a good pleasure for us to host you here. Now the time, our PhD students going to ask you a question about design issue relating their own topics and your interest. Let's start.
In your book, Design the Life You Love, you give guidelines for people to build a meaningful life by approaching it as a design problem. As my research focuses on exploring how design can enable meaningful interactions between people, we have observed that this is a highly subjective and personal concept. So my question is, how can we approach meaningfulness and its subjectivity from a design perspective?
Yeah, here's the book. Maria, where are you calling from?
I am in Chile right now.
In Chile. Okay, so you and I are closer in terms of time.
Yes.
So I think that's a great question. You know, my starting point for Design the Life You Love, writing this book, and even before this, starting the experiment around designing your life in 2010 was really based on my belief is that our life is our biggest design project, and that our life is like a design project full of emotions, contradictions, dichotomies, challenges, but at the same time, we want to always improve our life and you know, make the most of it. And we do all have an original life. So with that, one of the key points is, you know, in terms of designing your life, what I'm providing and what I want to share with you and everyone is you can apply design process and design thinking tools to your life to help you think about your life with design principles. And the design principles are, there are actually 5 principles that I find can guide anyone to design their life or design their organization, design, you know, for you all to design products and services. So, and those 5 principles, so 5, the first one is optimism. No matter how hard the problem, we believe that we're going to come up with a better solution. And that optimism drives us towards the future. The second one is empathy, having empathy for ourselves and for others. This is really important. The third one is holistic thinking, seeing the big picture so we can connect the dots in different ways. The fourth, is an open mind, being open to possibilities and seeing the same things differently, knowing that sometimes the best ideas come from the worst places. And the fifth one is collaboration, building on each other's ideas. And to me, these 5 principles guide us. These are the universal truths in a way. But then to answer your question, within that, how you design your life is very personal. And I often tell people that, you know, you are the user of your own life. So design is often about solving problems for the end user. And we always put ourselves in other people's shoes. And when it comes to designing your life, this may be the only time where you're going to put yourself in your own shoes and think about your life as an original life, to create a roadmap for yourself. That is the center of it, and that's the starting point. But what's then important, like most designs, you know, the first design happens in the creative person's mind. So whether you're the designer of your life or the designer of, you know, an office system, the process happens in your mind, right? Until you generate ideas and concepts. And then eventually one of those ideas is really exciting to you and it rises to the top, at which point you bring in other collaborators, you share your idea and you bring in engineers and researchers and, and you share the idea so that you can bring it to life together. Similarly with your life, once you have an idea that excites you, and I've seen this again and again in how people transform their lives as, using design tools and process, they bring other people in to collaborate. And so even though it's a very personal project, you start sharing it with your family members, your friends, your colleagues, your teammates, and enlist their help and their collaboration to make it happen. So it's this, it's a very personal thing, but at the same time, it starts with you, you're at the center of it, and then it grows from you out to your family, to your friends, to your team, to your organization, to your society. So chances are, even though it's very personal, it can change and influence and transform the lives of others.
So you apply your methodology to translate design discipline principles for any other field, for them to essentially design anything, including the life itself. For me, the concept in itself resembles very much of design thinking methodologies. For example, IDEO's 5 steps from problem discovery to experimenting with an idea, as you elaborated on before. So I'm very curious to learn what is the core difference between your methodology and the other design thinking methodologies. And I'm also intrigued to learn how to select and apply your design principles to teach and be used for other disciplines.
Great. So Hayati, thank you for that great question. And so my methodology comes from my expertise in designing products and systems for 20 years. So I went to design school in Turkey at the Middle East Technical University, and then I came to New York to do my master's at Pratt Institute in industrial design with a Fulbright scholarship. And my first project here was designing office accessories for Knoll. And then I went to Japan, lived in Japan for about a year, designing what's now known as the world's most comfortable toilet seat for TOTO. And then came back to the States, and that TOTO project led to my 20-year-long collaboration with Herman Miller, designing office systems, starting with the award-winning Resolve office system. And it's been going on ever since our last project, Overlay, came out about 2 years ago. And I've also worked with Renault, with Hewlett Packard, with Target. So all those experiences, designing everything from toilets to office systems to automobiles, is the foundation of my design thinking methodology, which is deconstruction, reconstruction. And the way it came about is because in 2008, when the American economy crashed, we were a very successful design and innovation studio in New York, except all our clients took their work in-house as a way to cut their budgets and get through the economic downturn. And at that point, I found myself with a lot of time in my hands, which was really frustrating and difficult time for me. But at the same time, that's the time I was able to think about, based on all these years of experience working with some of the world's leading corporations, designing products for them. It was a time for me to go back into my head and think about, how do I think? You know, how do I go from what I know today to what I can imagine in the future? And I literally mapped it out, over a period of about a year, and simplified it until it became deconstruction, reconstruction, which has these 4 steps. And I'll just quickly mention, deconstruction is taking the whole apart so that you can see what something is made up of. Then the second step is about exploring, looking at the same parts from different angles and thinking about them differently. Reconstruction is putting it back together, knowing you can't have everything, and then expressing it is giving it form. And the form could be a design strategy, it could be a design product or system or experience or a service. So the differentiator in all this is my experience, you know, that it comes from how I think. And then the application of it to design the life you love is in fact my tool for teaching it to anyone and to everyone. So today, thousands of people across the globe have redesigned their life using this methodology, deconstruction, reconstruction, and using my tools and my book. And the youngest people who've done it are middle school students in Japan, so 13-year-olds. And the oldest people are 90 plus people that we have co-designed older life with for 1 year last year as part of our research project for the SCAN Foundation. So about your question about how to apply it, how to teach it to other people, my goal, and I'm really interested in your question, my goal, like you, was to make it accessible to anyone, any age, any discipline, regardless of whether they've ever designed anything or had any design training or not. And so that's why the book is kind of like my secret weapon for teaching and everyone how to think like a designer. And this is the same methodology we use for our clients inside corporations, because our clients also are not designers. They're like manufacturers, researchers, marketers, you know, engineers, business people, salespeople. And we co-design with them and their end users. And so this is constantly our goal as well, is to include everyone in the process, share our tools, and get them to think with us so that we can together solve really wicked problems.
We are talking about methodology, this deconstruction and reconstruction, your methodology. I have a similar question. So currently there is a growing interest in challenging the current paradigm of human-centered design approach to like new perspectives such as beyond human-centered design or like post-human-centered design. And to sum up it very briefly, this shift focuses on prioritizing non-human actors such as like energy we are living together, like technology or the companions in our lives, and giving them a value in this current human-centered design systems and lifestyles. So in that regard, how do you think, for example, your methodology, deconstruction and reconstruction, would evolve with these upcoming approaches, this like beyond human-centered design or more post-human-centered design methodologies?
Mert, that's a great question as well. Thank you. And thank you for projecting us into the future. It's interesting because serendipitously, I had a very similar conversation with one of our clients just yesterday with Toyota. We're starting a new project, and one of the designers said, you can put the user at the center, but you can also put businesses at the center of your thinking. And my strong point of view on that is, whatever you put at the center of your thinking is whatever the end result will be. So if you put the user at the center of your thinking, and in a way, as designers, we are the ambassadors for users, our solutions will be human-centered and humanistic. If we put business or AI or automobiles at the center of our thinking, this is absolutely possible. The tools work because you're deconstructing and reconstructing. You can deconstruct AI, you can deconstruct a business, you can deconstruct an automobile, you can deconstruct anything really. And we see many examples of that. And then you can reconstruct a solution that makes creates advantages and value for whatever you've put at the center. And here's the caveat, or here's what I think as designers we need to be careful, not only as designers, but also with our partners, corporations, that it's easy to create business-centric solutions because businesses are inanimate, but they are made up of people. The world is made up of humans, you know, and unless we're imagining a world where we're extinct, which sometimes I do wonder if that's what we're driving towards, we need to make sure that after we've done these mental experiments, that we need to connect it back to the human. I've done exercises like this with Herman Miller years ago, because some of the office solutions, for example, seem to grow out of business needs and not user needs or end user needs. And we've done parallel experiments where if you put human at the center of an office system solution, you end up with something that's quite humanistic, that is designed for human physical qualities, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual qualities. If you put business concerns or business goals at the center of that thinking, you end up with something that really answers the emotions, intellectual qualities, physical qualities, and spiritual qualities of the business. They are not the same as the human quality. So that's the, I think, maybe a red flag, in that I love it as a tool for experimentation and imagining different perspectives, but without the human, it's not humanistic. So that would be my sense of it. And I'll just quickly give you an example of, you know, it's not even humanistic, it's, I think, living. Like some of the solutions for how chickens are raised today, right, for consumption, are really about like taking the life out of all chicken stock and, you know, creating actually things that reply very well to business needs, but are inhuman when it comes to animal lives and, you know, animal rights. So it's just that similar, you know, it's possible to do it, but then what are we having as the end result? Do we want to, like chicken, you know, be reared only to be productive and, you know, produce something and completely lose our kind of life force? So I'll stop. That's a long, you know, this is a great conversation or a topic we could go on, but I just want to, I think as designers, our role is to be the ambassadors for humanity.
In your own words, you mentioned from your design education, you adopted the philosophy that design is a way of distilling problems to reveal novel answers. For example, the Zoe washlet you designed for TOTO is a pioneering product for the American society and the home improvement market, as you mentioned. So in your perspective, how do you comprehend the answer? For example, the final design product is novel, pioneering, and influential. And to be specific, in the case of Zoe washlet, what key aspects did you consider in the distilling process of the problems?
So you're giving reference to one of my favorite projects. And that project came about because TOTO, which is the world's largest manufacturer of bathroom and plumbing products, is a Japanese company. And at the time, this is about 20, 25 years ago, they wanted to enter the American market. And of course, the American companies like Kohler and American Standards, they wanted to keep TOTO out of the United States, out of their market. So there was some territorial wars that were going on. And one of TOTO's most successful products was the washlet, which is the toilet seat with the bidet function incorporated. And because it's a very innovative product, TOTO wanted to enter the American market with this product and then marketed it as a product for disabled end users. And this completely backfired because, you know, nobody wanted to buy something, whether they needed it or not, that was marketed for disabilities. And so when I became part of the TOTO team, so I moved to Japan and I lived in Tokyo for 6 months and then in Kokura at the factory for 6 months. My goals were, how could we create a universal design that anybody would love to use? And then think about, you know, this product was successful in Japan, but it didn't mean that it was going to be successful in the American culture. So the research that we did showed us that Americans had preconceptions about bidets, and they saw it as a taboo product. And the history of this was because American soldiers had seen bidets in Europe during the Second World War, and they saw the bidets in I'm thinking of the right word for basically the prostitutes, you know, their intimate relationship in Europe or in France was going to a prostitute's room or home, and that's where they saw the bidets. And then they associated bidets with prostitutes, and that kind of created this weird, unexpected, like they didn't realize that everybody in France had bidets. And so for them, it was like, we shouldn't use bidets. And to me, this was really an interesting thought, because Americans and Japanese people are very similar in how clean they are. They do want, you know, Americans take showers all the time. Japanese people take baths all the time. So there is a commonality in terms of cleanliness. It's just that we had to overcome this taboo. And so my approach to that was thinking about what's important for the American culture, you know, if we look at it kind of simplistically. And one thing that rises to the top is comfort. So they're very cleanliness oriented, but they're also all about comfort. So my thought was, how could we make comfort the entry point into this product? Almost like the Trojan horse, but then you make the most comfortable toilet seat you can imagine, that looks comfortable, is also easy to clean, comfortable in terms of like how you take care of it. But then behind it, it also, by the way, it has a bidet function. So that was, when you start to look at those criteria and how, based on the end user, based on the culture, based on the product, based on ergonomics, seating, you know, when you deconstruct toilet seat, you realize it's toilet and seat. Seat is something that's highly ergonomic, and yet most toilet seats, traditional toilet seats, are not comfortable. You know, you can't really sit on them for a long, long time. So that created, these criteria and questions created almost eventually took us towards a reconstruction where the TOTO toilet became a toilet seat that's designed like a chair. It's large, it's larger than the toilet china itself. And when you sit in it, it really supports your legs. The front of it scoops down so that when you're, you know, sitting, it doesn't like bite into your legs. It's large enough. And then the back of it has a little raise so that it also supports the back, the small of your back. And all those things then allowed us to realize that this is the best answer. But then that was supported with concept models, user testing, to make sure that, you know, once we had the top concept, is this the most comfortable toilet seat? How do you make a comfortable toilet seat? That it's like a chair with a hole in it. We then supported that with just experience, user experience, to be able to claim this is the most comfortable seat you can ever imagine. And then that was the marketing point. You know, it was not launched as a bidet. It was launched as the most innovative toilet seat you can imagine. And yeah, I hope, you know, I love this, this product and this project. And I'm really proud of the fact that I'm one of the few industrial designers who can say, I've designed a toilet seat. And that the beauty of it is, you know, some products like the toilet seat are forgotten products. You know, it's not the first product that comes to your mind when you're saying, I want to be an industrial designer. But those products also have the best advantages because not many people have worked on them. And so there's really room for innovation.
Okay. Ayşe Hanım, I have a final question to you. Designers who have reached a certain level are also aware that they have a risk repeating themselves because they have a code a certain style. What precautions do you take for yourself to avoid such a risk?
So thank you for the question. There's a little bit of an echo. I don't know if you hear it or not, but so I've found that what has always kept me curious and it's hard for me to say that I have a certain style, except an intellectual style, and that is deconstruction, reconstruction. And that's the red thread that goes across all our work. But to me, what has always been interesting is collaborating with corporations that I respect and that I share values with. And almost every project is different. You know, we haven't done or created a specialty where we said, oh, you know, Birsel Plus Tech only does automobiles or only does kitchen products, only does office systems. In fact, we only do deconstruction, reconstruction, and our style is working together with our clients and bringing our tools to them and marrying our outsiders' point of view with their insiders' expertise and helping them find new solutions to wicked problems. So I think that I can continue on working with these amazing clients. And these clients, you know, when I talk about clients, they're people. What I love about them is we often end up being friends beyond just having a client studio relationship. And what keeps us young and fresh and different is the challenges and the problems we're solving change. The industries are different. And then this allows us to have a very holistic view. So sometimes what you learn on an automobile project allows you to bring a new perspective to an office system, or what you learn from an office system can help you change the experience of a driver. And so these are the things that really, I feel like we've never had the problem of repetition or having a style. And also you know, we love to co-design with people we work with. And that creates a different dynamic every time, you know, and how end users think about the same problem is very different from how corporations think of it. And then it's also different from how we think of it. And we try to bridge those differences and create new patterns and get our clients to see things differently as well. So that we have a lot of fun. It's and we're very curious, you know. As long as you have a beginner's mind, I think you're, you know.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ayşe Birsel. We hosted world-renowned Turkish designer in this episode. Have a good day from Istanbul Koç University, Istanbul Studios.